In 1996, at the University of Washington, a researcher put on a plain caveman mask and trapped 7 wild crows for banding. He never wore that mask again. 18 years later, crows on that same campus still dive bomb and scream at anyone wearing it, including students who weren't even born when it happened. None of those crows were there in 1996. They learned the mask was dangerous from other crows, who learned it from the ones who were actually caught. And the behavior kept spreading, campus to campus, for 2 decades. That sounds exactly like a grudge. A specific face, remembered, punished, for years, passed down like a family story. But what's actually happening is colder than revenge, and probably more useful to the crow. So start with what a grudge actually requires. A grudge needs a moral ledger. Someone wronged me, I remember it, and now they're owed something. That's a distinctly human structure, and it's the wrong one to go looking for here. What crows appear to run instead is a threat tagging system. Once a crow's brain flags a face, a shape, or a vehicle as dangerous, it doesn't file that under unfair. It files it under known threat, permanently, and broadcasts the file to every crow in earshot. Researchers at the University of Washington, led by John Marsloff, tested this directly. They wore the same mask around wild crows in Seattle year after year. The scolding didn't fade. It spread to crows that had never personally been trapped, to entire new neighborhoods the mask had never visited, and eventually to crows that hadn't hatched yet when the study began. That last part should stop you. A crow can inherit a threat it never witnessed, from a parent that is teaching, not just protecting, which means the grudge was never stored in one bird. It's stored in a culture, updated and rebroadcast every time a masked researcher walks past, at essentially no cost to the crow beyond a few minutes of yelling. Elephants run something even more specific. In Kenya, researchers played recorded human voices to wild elephant herds, some speaking the language of the Maasai, a group with a long history of spearing elephants over grazing conflict, and some speaking the language of the Kamba, who don't hunt elephants at all. The herds reacted with fear and tight bunching almost exclusively to the Maasai voices. Same test, run again with red cloth against white cloth. Maasai warriors traditionally wear red, and elephants who'd never personally been speared still reacted to the red fabric with more caution, because a red shape has, for generations, sometimes preceded an attack. Elephants are not holding a grudge against a color. They're running an updated, inherited model of what correlates with danger, some of it older than the elephant doing the reacting. And it isn't only fear. Matriarchs who lived through poaching events have been documented becoming measurably more aggressive toward vehicles resembling the ones involved for years afterward, even when a completely unrelated vehicle just happens to look similar. The tag isn't always accurate, it's just persistent. Chimpanzees do the closest thing to the human version. In long-term studies of wild chimp communities, researchers have recorded individuals who lost a fight, then waited, sometimes days, before recruiting allies and retaliating against the specific chimp who beat them. Not a random target. That one, the delay, is the important part. It means the chimp wasn't reacting in the heat of a moment. It was holding the identity of the individual who wronged it, tracking that individual's alliances, and waiting for the odds to shift. Frans de Waal, who has studied this for decades, calls it reciprocal aggression, and it runs in both directions. Chimps that groom you, share food with you, or back you up in a fight get preferential treatment back, sometimes months later. The ledger isn't only negative, so here's the honest picture. Across 3 completely different brains, none of them appear to be doing moral bookkeeping the way a human holding a grudge does, turning the injury over, deciding it was unfair, waiting to feel vindicated. What they're doing is colder and more efficient, tagging an individual, a shape, a sound, or a color with a threat or reward value, and keeping that tag current for as long as it keeps paying for itself. That's not forgiveness either. A system built purely on cost and benefit has no reason to forgive something that's still cheap to keep flagging. The tag doesn't expire on a schedule. It expires when it stops being useful. Here's what that means for you. Specifically, you have almost certainly been tagged by something. A dog on your street that startled once and now watches your gate from 2 houses down. A crow on your commute that has decided, correctly or not, that you're worth remembering. You will never see most of the file kept on you, because nothing about the system requires telling you. Which is, if you sit with it for more than a few seconds, more unsettling than a grudge, and considerably more impressive. Go back to that campus in Seattle. The original mask is sitting in a drawer somewhere now, retired, replaced by newer ones for newer trials. But somewhere on that campus, a crow that has never seen a human being trapped is still watching for a face it has never personally met, because somebody taught it to, and nobody ever told it to stop. So, here's what I actually want to know. Has an animal ever reacted to you like it remembered something you didn't? Tell me what it did and where, because the specific details are the actual data in this field. Also, there's a dodo hidden somewhere in this video, which is a joke, because dodos are extinct and therefore hold the fewest grudges of any animal on this list. If you spot it, drop the timestamp below. One correct answer, picked at random, will announced in next video, every study mentioned here. The Seattle crow mask experiments, the Kenyan elephant voice and cloth research, and the chimpanzee reciprocity work is linked in the description. Thanks for watching.